Basement Politics, Unfiltered with Freddy Vazquez. Tonight, part 3 of the IDA Act of 1969 and the YIDA. General Municipality Law and Article 18, Conflicts of Interest. Tonight, I have a special guest, Robbie Man. Robbie, man, I got to give you an extra, round of applause there. How you been in a while?
It's been over a year, bro, and it's so good to be on a great show. I've been watching you.
Thank you.
Pointing everything out, and you're on point, man.
Oh, thank you very much. You reached out, then we communicated, and I said, hey, why don't you join me on as a special guest? I think you have a lot of information, so I thought you'd be great, and here you are. So I look forward to getting this show on tonight. So tonight is part 3 of the IDA Act of 1969 and the YIDA. We'll be talking about General Municipality Law, and Article 18 has to do with conflicts of interest. So we'll be getting to that. So hello, everyone. Thank you for watching Basement Politics. I'm your host, Freddy Vazquez. Tonight's special guest is Robbie Man. Tonight on part 3 of the IDA Act of 1969 and the YIDA, or the Yonkers IDA, we'll be addressing or discussing conflicts of interest. What are the laws that govern New York State IDAs and prevent conflicts of interest, and do any exist here in Yonkers? We'll discuss that and more on tonight's episode of Basement Politics. So I want to start out by saying first that, and I want to reiterate this, okay, because, I've been hearing chatter. I keep my ear to the street. Many people come up to me. People say a lot of great things about this show. They've, been saying it's wonderful. Keep doing what you're doing. But I've also had people or mention some negative things. And I want to reiterate that I did not do the podcast because I felt not to attack anyone or to be negative, confrontational, or adversarial. I created it because I felt that there was a need for a platform to provide the people of Yonkers and Westchester a source of information that is both honest and important, so that we all can have a better understanding of what our elected officials and government, or more information about our elected officials and government as a whole, so that we, the people, can ensure that those we elect will have our best interest all the time. I'm not looking to be adversarial again, and I'm not looking to be confrontational. I'm not looking to target or single out any one specific or group, but rather my goal is to help create more transparency between the people and those elected to represent the people. I have been connected to Yonkers my entire life, and because of that, I know a lot of people, and I hear the chatter. Word does get back to me, and most people are positive. They are, and I appreciate the support, and I appreciate the comments, but also I've had critiques. I've had people say that I'm negative or that I'm looking to, start fights or be confrontational, and I'm not. And just to be very clear, I have zero issues with any other Yonkers News platform, page, or person. I understand that my show has apparently stepped on some toes, and all I can say is that it's not intentional, not something I concern myself with either. So therefore, I recommend wearing steel-toe boots. With that being said, let's get right into the podcast. Freddy Vazquez, Basement Politics, Part 3, YIDA, 1969. Some of you have watched part 1 and part 2. In part 1, I basically spoke about what an IDA was. And IDAs are industrial development agencies. IDAs were created through legislation enacted by New York State back in 1969. And the purpose of the IDA was, general purpose was to promote economic welfare of the state's inhabitants and to actively promote, attract, encourage, and develop economically sound commerce and industry through governmental action for the purpose. And this is very important. I stress this part out. For the purpose of preventing unemployment and economic deterioration. Now, New York State consists of 109 agencies or IDAs. State law requires that IDA submit an annual report on every project receiving financial assistance. And if you go onto the Yonkers IDA page, you will see some financials there that you can go through and read. And I think it's important, especially if you have concerns with the developments, particularly with the AHO and the housing ordinance and what goes with that, what benefits are being provided to the city, and also are local labor being used, those who are in the construction business and are concerned with local labor being used. There's information that you can go on the page and look, as well as the New York State Comptroller's page, and you can see audits that have been done there. So we will be reviewing some of those. The IDA Act of 1969, since the creation, has played a major role in fostering economic development in New York. Like other public authorities, however, issues regarding IDA transparencies and accountability persist, and inconsistent project monitoring continues to raise questions about the cost versus the benefits. And that's what I've been talking about in part one and part two. And now in part three, we'll get more in detail, more specifics, deeper. Over the last several years, the Office of the State Comptroller has increased its oversight of IDA operations through audits and performance reports. Now, I don't know if many of you know, but recently, back in September, the Orange County IDA came under investigation, and they found that members of the IDA and elected officials were corrupt. And so some were charged with felonies and also ordered to pay back $1 million in, I guess, restitution. So they are cracking down. They are being investigated. They are monitoring them a little bit closely. Majority of those IDAs that have been looked into have been primarily the upstate IDAs. Now, the downstate IDAs, which consist of Yonkers IDA, or the IDAs down here are the ones that give the largest amount of tax breaks. So, with that, why isn't the state comptroller coming down here a bit more? Because we are the larger area. We do, or this area does give out the largest tax breaks. A lot more projects are going up. So we should, a lot more expensive projects. So maybe there should be more monitoring oversight coming down here. However, not much info on Westchester and Yonkers IDA. I could only find information as much as recently as 2019. I want to bring Robbie back in a little bit there and just get some of his comments on the IDA, because you and I were talking a little bit about the IDA, correct?
Well, I'm not a very big fan of the IDA.
Well, go ahead. Tell me why not,
And
Robbie.
I'll tell you why. It creates congestion. They project more housing for affordable housing. They attract a very certain demographic, and realistically, what it does is it prevents the city from collecting taxes where it's supposed to be. There's tax abatements. There's congestion in the roads. We don't see any quality in our roads getting built back better, or how do you say?
Right. Well, they say that, the IDA tax breaks that they do give out, and we'll get into that in a little bit later in specifics, include property taxes, right? And the majority of the tax abatements that are given to developers come from the property tax portion of the benefits that they offer. They do offer also sales and use taxes and mortgage recording taxes, among others. But go ahead, I'll let you finish, Robbie.
But hold on, Freddie. To that end, they're also giving abatements on the taxes. It's one of the biggest things on the IDA. That's the first thing on IDAs, that they're giving tax abatements, especially mortgage tax abatements. For the privilege of selling your house in Yonkers, you pay up to 2%. Okay, that's 2% gone. That's not including other fees. What's the real benefit? We're congesting the roads in Yonkers.
Right.
As it is, we have no parking.
Well, the developers, and I've spoken about this on previous podcasts, right? With all the developments going up, what are they, considering doing regarding the traffic, the congestion, the density and population that we're seeing? Increasing people, they bring cars, right? They bring 2 and 3 cars nowadays. And also developers are also giving a loophole where they can instead of building parking lots to accommodate the residents that will be moving into their developments, they can pay a lump sum and avoid having to do so. Obviously, that lump sum is a lot cheaper than if they had to build a parking lot, and also is a lot less time. They don't have to take the time. But I want to get into the laws really quick, Robbie, that govern conflicts of interest. General Municipality Law, Article 18, states the principal state statute governing conflicts of interest on the part of municipal officers and employees. An understanding of Article 18 is important because because of violations of the statute can result in criminal and civil sanctions, undermine public confidence in local government administration, and damage reputation. Right. And I think that's something that we are having to deal with here in the city, or people are really feeling. The reputation, from what I'm gathering, at least from what people are telling me, from the sentiment, is that they cannot trust, or many do not trust the administration. Now, am I saying that we can't trust the administration, that we shouldn't trust the administration? Absolutely not. What I'm saying is that people are making comments. And I want those who make comments to back by and stand behind those comments and say them, at all times in public, because that is the only way you're going to get the change you want, right? If you stay them in private and you don't, in public, follow through with those comments, then what's the point? So anyway, so that's an issue, and I think here in Yonkers, and why I'm going through this IDA podcast and informing the people, because of transparency issues. We need more transparencies, a better understanding why IDA does, and how does that impact the city, the residents, and and such as the AHO, and not having that move any forward, or increase from where it's at 10%. What do you say?
What I say to that is people are you can have a very seldom amount of people who can even wrap their head around what's supposed to happen and how it's supposed to happen. And so long as somebody tells them what to do, nobody shows them what to do, it'll always be status quo.
Right. And I think that's what I'd hope to accomplish here. And I hope that others can join me in bringing awareness and helping people wrap their head around this and understand what these, what maybe the problems are here, and why they persist, and why we can't create the change. And this is something I've also mentioned. Many people understand that we need more housing. Let's use that as an example. We need to increase the housing stock. Okay, and we can shout it out into the air, into the sky, into to City Hall as loud as we want. But how do we actually make some change happen? We must understand the law. We must understand the YIDA, how they operate, how these projects are approved, how are the benefits given to them, how is this decisions made? And I think in doing that, we can help people.
I would ask, you say we need more housing in the city of Yonkers.
Well, that's just an example I'm using, just to give an example of how we get change, right? If we can help people identify, understand fully, and grasp the concept, right, and guide them and help them see how this change can be created. People, I like to believe, I like to be positive that people want the change and will move forward in pushing in that direction. The greatest podcast in Yonkers. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm listening.
It's very cool. And it is 100%. You do have one of the best podcasts.
Well, thank you. And again, I don't. I don't want to, again, I don't want to get off topic there too much, but yes, the point of the electric, your internet there, of the show, is to inform people. So that's what we're here to do. So I'd like to talk about Article 18 and the General Municipality Law, and how is that related to conflicts of interest, and are there any conflicts of interest here in the city? Robbie, are there any conflicts of interest here in the city? I think we're losing Robbie there. Robbie? I'll let Robbie go there until you can get that back. But yes, are there conflicts of interest? And I like to present, quite possibly, maybe there are some conflicts of interest. And in my research,
there appears to be.
Oh,
and can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. No, I can't hear you. All right, I'll let you work that out, Robbie. But yes, so I'm going to go through some issues that that I found in my own research, and in conflict of interest, and in seeing some of the same entities, some of the same individuals, kind of being recycled, kind of being shuffled around, and this is something that I think presents somewhat of a conflict of interest. And I'm going to start with really quick. What is the definition of interest according to the General Municipalities Law 103? Interest. An interest is defined as a direct or indirect monetary or material benefit to the city officer or city employee resulting in the contract with the municipality. That interest is prohibited if the officer or employee has the power to negotiate, prepare, authorize, or approve the contracts or approve payments thereunder. B, audit bills or claims under the contracts. C, appoint an officer or an employee who has any such power of duties, and none of the exceptions contained in Article 18. I'm sorry, including Section 802, are applicable. So basically, if there is a monetary gain or a material gain from the contracts with the municipality, and on behalf of the city employee or officer, then that is considered a conflict of interest. A conflict of interest. So, are any of these city employees or any of the officers receiving any benefits? Are they? Well, we do our research, and I try to, investigate a little bit. I'm not an investigative journalist, although I will be looking to become one soon, hopefully. And anyway, in my research, and specifically with Lionsgate, because it's come up recently in the resignation of the recent building commissioner, Vincent Pesci. According to some, he resigned under pressure because permits were not getting approved fast enough on the Lionsgate project. Well, Lionsgate is one of the recipients of a YDA benefit to the tune of $7.8 million for their phase two. Well, how did Lionsgate acquire the land or even get their project approved and even start developing here in Yonkers? According to some sources, they went through a consulting company. This consulting company is called Empire Strategic Planning. In our investigation into Empire Strategic Planning, we found out here, based on politics, that is owned by a one Nick Spano. Empire Strategic Planning is a consulting firm that works with developers and those looking to develop, whether it's affordable housing, market rate housing, even hospital facilities. They help them through their political connections and other connections. So does that present a conflict of interest? Does it? So, if it is true what some people are saying, and Lionsgate did pay Empire Strategic Planning, owned by Nick Spano, to consult on this project, the studio there at Lionsgate, and Mike Spano, being the younger brother of Nick Spano, it being the mayor and chairman of the YIDA, does that present a conflict of interest? This is from the Empire Strategic Planning website. Nick Spano, ESP's founder and owner, has unmatched experience and success with the legislative process. In a 28-year career, he rose from being the youngest member of the assembly to being the third highest ranking member of the Senate leadership. As chairman of the Committee on Developmental Disabilities, he worked with the executive branch, assembly leadership, fellow senators, and advocates to carry out groundbreaking changes in the way New York serves the developmentally disabled residents. Senator Spano worked closely with Westchester County government to develop legislation creating the Westchester Medical Center Corporation, spinning off the former county-owned Territory Care, hospital, I can't read, as an independent entity and saving the county government millions of dollars in annual subsidies. Great, he's done a great job. But he's the one of the principals and founding principals of Empire Strategic Planning, consulting firm that helps developers develop or build relationships with elected officials in various municipalities throughout the state of New York. Robbie, are you there?
I don't know if you can hear me yet.
There you go. I can hear you. I just wanted to talk. Now you're there. What do you think of that?
I think there's a lot to look into. I wouldn't want to be. I don't want to be accusatory, but what I would say to you is that when I was looking up the Empire Strategic Planning Management that you just mentioned, it's something to note or something to put on so that other people can see. Let them come to their own conclusions. But once you come to a conclusion and once you start putting things together, it's going to be an action plan that's going to be needed to be taken.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, the podcast is to bring information and make people aware of what's going on here in government, elected officials. The development has been a big topic. It's been a big topic because of congestion, traffic, housing, affordable housing, the lack of interest in helping those that are longtime residents who are not multimillionaire developers. Another thing that I found interesting when doing our research is someone else who was associated with the Empire Strategic Planning, who was a lobbyist, was listed as a lobbyist of Empire Strategic Planning at one point, or still is listed if according to certain websites, but currently is serving as the YIDA president and CEO, and that's Jim Kavanaugh, who was also the former deputy mayor of the city before going on to serve as president and CEO of the YIDA.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If you look at here, this picture that I have up, Empire Strategic Planning, it tells you their address in Albany, and it has in the yellow highlight additional lobbyist, James Kavanaugh. Does that present a conflict of interest?
I would add to that, or I'd like to ask a question. How many
Go ahead.
people? How many people are in areas that are warranted right now, where their buildings are being condemned unjustly, for the sake of lowering their value, for the sake of taking it to eminent domain for the purposes of building?
I was threatened with building condemning or whatever you want to call it myself. I just want to give a little bit background on Empire Strategic Planning and what they do here. This is from their website, Government Relations and Legislative Advocacy. ESP, Empire Strategic Planning, will develop and implement a government affairs action plan to meet the needs of your organization or business. Whether it involves tracking a single bill or monitoring the entire legislative process, ESP will keep you updated and informed with the current information and valuable intelligence. We will provide your organization or business with an early opportunity to affect policy. Why should we allow businesses, multi-million-dollar businesses, to affect governmental policies? We don't have that same power as regular Joe Schmoes. As part of this process, we will identify potential allies for your cause. So who would be a potential ally to Empire Strategic Planning here in the city of Yonkers?
Well, it appears to me that would be Nick Spano.
Mayor Spano, I believe you mean. So here's some of the things they do: strategic planning, and I got the highlighted stuff because I thought that was important, but I'll read it off. Strategic planning and political consulting, analysis of state and local legislation and regulations, monitoring and tracking legislation that impacts clients' interests, connecting clients with decision makers in state and local government, scheduling and coordinating meetings with key public officials. Does that not present a conflict of interest if Empire Strategic Planning is operating here in the city of Yonkers?
Oh, are you really asking that kind of a question, or is that a question really made for a statement? Because I think the answer is very obvious. It's right there, and when you come to performance, I sent you a screenshot because I've worked with IDAs before in the past. They have what's called a clawback. When one party's not functioning, when they're not making headway, you claw back the money. You take away. And what I noticed was an article I think you posted on Lionsgate. Where are they? How many people are they employing in the city of Yonkers right now? What are they doing for the people?
Well, there are people that are employed. They're building, they're developing. There are obviously construction workers there. But the question is, are they from Westchester and Yonkers? So if they're receiving YIDA benefits, are they providing benefits to local labor. And that's a conversation I had with local labor union members from Teamsters 456 and others who were upset because they are not receiving work on these developments, nor are they being allowed to come to the table. I just want to mention a comment or bring up a comment from a viewer. The main issue is that Nick Spano is a realtor and is selling Yonkers property through Howard Hanna Rand Realty. Add that to his brother is the mayor and is the SIL, the executive director of the IDA. Oh, and his sister-in-law is the executive director of the IDA, the YIDA. All conflicts which makes Orange County allegations look small. And what Carolyn is referring to there is the recent investigation into the Orange County IDA, where members of that IDA, as well as city officials, were charged with felonies and corruption, ordered to pay $1 million. And they're done. They broke that up. That came down from the state comptroller's office through Thomas P. DiNapoli.
Right?
DiNapoli.
And good
yes,
find. Yeah, I never knew Nick was a realtor until she actually put that up. So
yes, that's news to me as well. I didn't know Nick Spano was a
thanks for
realtor.
that information. Very interesting.
We'll
Very
definitely take a
interesting
look
how
into
it's all gluing together, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I found a lot of interesting information. I found a lot of connection. I found a lot of the same individuals operating within various positions, whether in the private sector or in the public sector. Again, going back to James Kavanaugh, working as a lobbyist for Empire Strategic Planning, and then becoming deputy mayor.
And again, Kavanaugh's role before that was a lieutenant mayor here in the city of Yonkers.
Right, deputy mayor, and then now he's the president.
Keep that in mind when we're talking about the players in this.
Right. Yes, and he's the president currently of the YIDA and CEO of the YIDA. However, there's another interesting development or find, I should say, that I picked up when doing my research, is a law firm by the name of Harris Beach, which I've mentioned many times before on my show. The first time I spoke of Harris Beach was in regards to the District 4 primary race between Council Member John Rubo and Carlos Burgos. As some may not know, some may know, Carlos Burgos was initially kicked off the ballot after his signatures were questioned by Mr. Morales, a freelance masseuse who at one point worked for Councilman Rubo at the Yonkers Brewing Company, and he took it to court. He took it to court not once but twice, and he challenged both of the candidates or both of those individuals who were trying to challenge Mr. Rubo. He took it to court. They appealed it. He went back to court. And the law firm that represented this gentleman, Mr. Morales, was Harris Beach.
Right.
Harris Beach.
Which Harris Beach also
Harris Beach also is the transaction counsel and bond counsel for the YIDA. So was it the YIDA behind the Mr. Morales' challenge of Carlos Burgos' signature? Did they know anything about that? Is the firm so big that they don't?
Yeah, I would presume so. But
they don't know what one hand is doing and the other.
Freddy, I would go one step further into your next find, which I thought was very interesting because you can find this person on so many various areas, and that was that Cindy Niclario.
Yes, Cindy Niclario. And really quick, I just want to give a background before you go into that. Cindy Niclario is someone who's come up a lot. Her email and her name is listed as a contact person for Empire Strategic Planning, as well as several other lobbying firms located both in Albany and Washington, D.C. So I just want to bring her up a little bit here. Cindy Niclario. And she is also connected to Harris Beach. So she is a contact person for Empire Strategic Planning, along with other lobbying firms, as well as a regional director of administration over at Harris Beach, PLLC law firm from 1999 till present. This is the Abraham Group, LLC, located in Washington, D.C., another lobbying group. And there in the highlight, you can see Cindy Niclario's email at Harris Beach.
It almost sounds like one of those situations where we should just give her a call or send her out an email and ask her what her role is.
Maybe I should have.
Invite her onto the show. I mean, I don't want to make any. I
Oh, I'm
wouldn't
not
want
making any
to. No,
accusations. I'm just presenting what's there online, which is public, and I'm just saying that it's interesting. What's that about? And maybe she can contact the show. You can reach me at politicwithfred at gmail.com. Uh, and these are all the firms that are that have that list the contact info, that list Cindy Niclario at Harris Beach as the contact info. So you have Empire Strategic Planning, Global Government Solutions, Riddit Associates. You had the Abraham Group and Joseph Messina as well, which I didn't put up. And then you have Cindy Niclario Lobby Compliance, but also works for Harris Beach.
no, Freddie. But that, just to add to that, let me ask you. I mean, why wouldn't we ask anybody on this a part of this Empire Strategic Planning Management to come on and maybe give us better clarity as to how this operates?
Absolutely. I would love for them to come onto the show and speak with them because, again, it's about information and informing the people and making people aware and transparency. We're not saying anything, or at least I'm not saying that there's anything illegal or wrong going on. I'm not making any accusations. I just thought that it was interesting in doing my research of IDAs and the YIDA specifically and trying to understand how developments are brought to the city, who approves the developments, who approves and the offers of the tax benefits, who oversees, who monitors, and who audits the
And who gets
YIDA.
disqualified, Freddie? Who gets disqualified? Who doesn't qualify for an IDA? That's what I'd like to know.
Correct.
Who's come into Yonkers and said, "I have a plan and I'd like to build something nice, and this is what it's going to attract. This is the reason why I would like to do it." Who's been
Correct.
declined for it, and
Correct.
why?
Correct.
Anybody who's ever applied for a YIDA, I think should contact you and give them, I want to hear their story. I think everybody would want to hear their story, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. And I would love to have them on the show. And that's what we're here for. What I did find interesting, and when looking at, going through audits of the YIDA, is that there's an independent, quote unquote, auditing company called PFK O'Connor and Davis Auditors. Not only do they audit the YIDA's financial records, they also audit the Greystone Foundation's financial records, which I thought was interesting. And I found some interesting connections there with the Greystone Foundation, who also have recently, have went up to the YIDA board to request IDA benefits in their expansion that they will be doing or may have already begun doing. So I just want to go over really quick the YIDA Yonkers, the Yonkers YIDA. The Yonkers IDA was created in 1982. Actually, before I do that, I want to just give some numbers out to people because I think this is very important and this is how people are affected. I want to just give some numbers for 2019, and this is for IDAs throughout the state of New York as a whole, and then I'll get more specific into Yonkers IDA and give some numbers there. And this is information is 2019. This is the most recent information I can find that was complete, and I'm going to talk about the tax exemptions or the tax breaks that they receive. IDA net tax exemptions for 2019. The amount net tax exemptions are the amount of tax benefits the IDA project receives. The figure equals total tax exemptions less total pilots paid. So basically, a net tax exemptions is the number that you get when you subtract the amount of pilots that were paid from the number of tax or the amount of money in tax exemptions that were given. So in the state of New York, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Yonkers. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me get my New York numbers because I think this is very
Well, I was
important.
hoping you'd finish that though with Yonkers.
Well, I'll finish it with Yonkers. Let's go with Yonkers because I started already. In Yonkers, total for 2019, the Yonkers IDA gave out a total in tax exemptions of $61,202,829. Now, total pilots that were paid. So the developers, and for those who don't know what pilots are payments in lieu of taxes. So as opposed to paying the property tax, these developers would be normally obligated to pay. They get to make a special deal with the city where they can pay a much smaller amount for a set amount of time. It's usually 10 to 15 years. And in that time, they will pay a lump sum, which is a lot smaller. So in 2019, the city collected and pilots $26,773,970. I'm sorry, $26,773,970. So for a net tax exemption of $34,429,859. So that means that while they offered and they gave away a little over 61 million in tax exemptions, the YIDA, because of the pilot money that they received, the actual net tax exemption or the net loss to the city was $34,429,859 of tax money that the city of Yonkers did not receive. Imagine how much money they've over maybe the course of even 3 years. When 2021 and 22 is coming up, they would have given away in these tax benefits. What could that money have done for the city? I can name a lot of things, specifically with education. We need a more robust sports program, a lot more things, books, laptops, renovated schools, state-of-the-art infrastructures within our schools, roads. Forget it. I hit a pothole every 3 feet. Our roads could be better paved. So I mean, that money that's not being recovered could really benefit the city.
Well, Freddie, what about the argument if they said, I mean, we don't really have the facts on what they've drawn in on what they've put out. We don't know. We know what they've abated. We know what they've given up. We know what they've given the developer. We don't know as a result of that how much income the city is actually taking in.
Right. So and then we can definitely look into that to see how much these developments have actually generated in revenue for the city. Again, a lot of the numbers that they give are estimates. What we actually collect or what it actually brings in, that it's not often given, or you can't find that everywhere, or if they even know. I just want to go to comments here. Lots of very upset insiders spewing to anyone that will listen. The tip of the iceberg.
What does that mean exactly? Oh,
that's like QAnon code. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it will come out. Jim Kavanaugh is married to Wilson Kimball. Oh, Wilson Kimball. I heard the name. Jim also worked for Nick Spano when he was a senator, as did Steve Levy. Steve Levy is the current deputy mayor. It's all about connecting the dots. Yes, Jim Kavanaugh, again, worked for Empire Strategic Planning as a lobbyist. He's listed there as a lobbyist. He's also the YIDA president. So again, is Empire Strategic Planning doing business in the city of Yonkers? Whatever happened to the money for the new fire department that was supposed to be at Ridge Hill? How much IDA money did they get? Yeah.
I think Ridge Hill got completely cheated out of it. That's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic.
It's a whole other topic.
So I wanted to talk about the New York. In New York total, New York State, $1.5 billion in tax exemptions were handed out in 2019 through IDAs located throughout the state of New York, up 1.5% from 2018. Now, here's the issue. Here's the problem that I have. Most of the most of the tax abatements that developers receive come from the property tax abatements, right? That they get. They get property tax abatements, mortgage recording tax abatements, sales and use tax abatements, as well as they get to pay into pilot programs. But when they get these abatements, a majority of the money that they or breaks that they receive come from the property taxes, which pay for schools, fire, police, safety, parks, roads, sanitation, things that we, the public, the residents need to see improved, particularly the roads. I believe the fire and police, they definitely get their fair share of money. And I will be talking about city budgeting soon in another podcast episode. And I will, show and discuss what it looks like through an annual one of the years, a year in city of Yonkers, a budget. And, the police and fire over time, for at least 10 years has been going over the budget by anywhere from 3.5 to almost $5 million. The overtime budget, that's over budget and overtime, not regular pay. But we'll talk about that at the next podcast.
And for
The
those of
value of,
you, I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry,
let me just, I want to clarify because not everybody's an owner in Yonkers. So when we talk tax abatement, folks, it simply means you're paying less in your taxes. So if your taxes are 10 grand a year, you'll pay $5,000. Now that's not a literal number. That's just hypothetically speaking. It's
the
just a
value
amount.
the value
Sorry.
of net exemptions was generally highest downstate, right? So that's what I mentioned before. The majority of the tax breaks that were given were downstate here, which includes New York City and Yonkers, which is in the Mid-Hudson region, and the Long Island region. They accounted for 56% of all net tax exemptions. Yonkers, like I mentioned, is part of the Mid-Hudson region, and they gave out more tax abatements. They've given out more tax abatements over years. So from 2019, 2020, it just increases in the amount of money that they're giving out. They didn't have any numbers for 2021, and I'm very curious to see what that's going to look like. As you've seen, a bunch of developments go up, bunch of tax abatements given out. Most recently, again with the Lionsgate. So I want to go over some more numbers for the YIDA. And this is 2019. These are the most recent numbers that I have. So in 2019, there were a total of 78 projects, 78 developments that went up that were YIDA projects, totaling values of $3,989,713,552. Did you
Was
get that,
that for
Robbie, man?
did you say that for the state or for the city?
This is for the city of Yonkers.
Did you say with a B?
With a B. $3,989,713,552. That's with the B. So again, they gave out $61 million in tax abatements. They received just over $26 million in pilots for net tax exemption, and $34 million that the city did not receive in 2019. So on average, each project in 2019 that was developed received a net tax exemption of $441,408. That was the average tax exemption per project. Estimated jobs. So this is here what's important.
And now that was 2019.
This is 2019.
So, a FOIA for 2020 would be a very interesting document to see.
Well, maybe you can do that for us and give some shares of what you find there, and we'll discuss it on the show when we go for part 4. So really quick, the important thing about the IDAs, right? The general purpose of IDAs are to prevent unemployment, to stimulate economic growth and prosperity within the community that IDA serves. For example, Yonkers IDA serves Yonkers. So their goal is to bring in projects that will stimulate economic growth and provide jobs or prevent job loss here in the city of Yonkers. So I want to give you some numbers here in the city of Yonkers for 2019. Estimated jobs created for that year were 7 through IDA projects were 7,377 jobs, which were originally projected. And estimated jobs that were retained after the projects were done were 2,996. Full-time equivalents before. So full-time jobs before equivalent were 4,688. After these YDA projects went up, there were full-time equivalent jobs 11,806. So that was a change of 4,837 jobs gained. 4,837 jobs gained. So for the $34 million that the YIDA just kind of gave away that year, it brought in a total of 4,837 jobs. Do you think that's worth it?
Well, wait a minute. They projected 7337.
They projected 7,377.
And their actual was 2,996.
The 2,996 jobs were retained.
Retained?
Retained meaning, so once the project was done, these are the jobs that remain to go on full time. So, there's temporary jobs and there are permanent jobs that the YIDA project or that these projects create. Some are temporary construction jobs. Once the project is done, the construction companies leave. And then you have permanent jobs that they create, such as those who work in the lobby, maintenance, people that work, for the building or, maintaining the property.
That's a
So
deficit of 4,341 jobs.
a deficit. Well, it says it's a gain of
So their
4,000.
actual was 7337.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get stuck on that. It's it's jobs created, jobs that were retained were actually just under 3,000. So for a net gain of 4,000 jobs. But my point is, for the $34 million that we did not receive in tax money, which could have went to schools, roads, to service other things that we desperately need, was it worth it?
Oh, I
They probably lost those jobs back in. They probably lost the jobs back in 2020 with the pandemic when everybody
exactly. And that's exactly where I think that the finger would be pointed at this point at the pandemic. It's just
I want to go really quick. I just want to get through this. The ID expenses came out to $6,600,563. So that's how much they spent that year. Their expense per project came out to $84,623 in 2009.
Their expense was what?
Their expense for the year for each project per project was $84,623. So that's how much the YIDA spent per project on average. I don't know what that means. I guess in processing fees.
So wait a minute. We had 6,600,000.
You're doing the calculations there.
I can't help it. I'm a numbers guy, right? So we had 6,600,563 in IDA money. Is that right?
I'm sorry. What are you trying to calculate there, Robbie, man?
Okay, so we had 6,600,563.
IDA expenses totaled $6,600,000.
Those were projected expenses.
That's what they said the expenses were, and it doesn't say projected.
I mean, this is horrific.
Well, you have to. Well, the point I'm making.
The actual was 85 grand.
Yeah, 85. That's what it says. So that's what it says again, and that's again going back to what I was saying. You don't find a lot of information. Some of the information is missing. They're supposed to have this information available. They're supposed to show the numbers, what jobs gained, the expenses, what they pay, how much they gave out to the different developers, what were the benefits that the return on that, I guess, on the investment, for lack of a better word, for giving out that money. So they're supposed to keep this somewhere where it's readily available and the public can see it. So this is why, again, I'm doing the show, the podcast, to bring awareness, so that way people can go and find this information out. Whatever I may not give them here, if they're interested, they can go check it out. So I just want to go over the YIDA members really quick. YIDA members. Mike Spano is chairman of the YIDA. Peter Kachak is the vice chairman. Marilyn Anderson is the secretary. Melissa Nasarino is the treasurer. Honorary Cecile Singer is a member. Henry John Balaj. Now, am I saying that correctly, Robbie? Do you know how to say Henry John Balaj? That's how I say it. He's a member, but here's another interesting thing about Henry John Balaj. His wife is Lenora John Balaj, and she ran apparently against John Rubo in the general election. Mm-hmm. Did you know that?
Interesting.
That is interesting. Some say the reason that was done was so that way Carlos Burgos could not run against Rubo in the general election, clogging up the working family lines. Right. So I want to go through the staff members now. So they have members. There's a board with Mike Spano, the mayor, as the chairman, and then they have a staff. And then here we go with Jim Kavanaugh again. Jim Kavanaugh is the president and CEO of the YIDA. Again, Jim Kavanaugh served as an associate, at the government relations lobbying firm owned by Nick Spano, and was also at one point a former deputy mayor of the city of Yonkers. He's also worked for a long time for the mayor's father, so he's known the family very well. Jamie McGill Spano, she is the executive director of the YIDA. So Mike Spano being the mayor, her brother-in-law, and she being the executive director. Does that present a conflict of interest? Sibi Amin, Omen, Oommen. He is the chief fiscal officer. Maybe we should speak with him. Samantha Young, the bookkeeper. Fiona Rodriguez, the administrative assistant. So again, Jim Kavanaugh again, and I think this was mentioned by Carolyn Elizabeth Marie. Jim Kavanaugh is married to Kimball. I'm sorry, the name Kimball. What was the woman's name? She is the planning commissioner. Just to throw that out there.
I don't know where you're reading from.
Wilson Kimball. I'm reading from my notes there, Robbie. You don't have those notes.
Sorry.
Jim Kavanaugh's wife is the planning commissioner here in the city of Yonkers. Her name is Wilson Kimball. So I just want to mention that. So I just want to give folks an idea of the members of the YIDA. So again, if Empire Strategic Planning is operating in the city of Yonkers, owned by Nick Spano, whose brother is the sitting mayor of Yonkers, Mike Spano, who's also the chairman of the YIDA, whose sister-in-law is the executive director of the YIDA, is there conflicts of interest?
One would assume so. But when let me just put this out there, folks. There's the Yonkers IDA, YonkersIDA.com website.
Right.
Have you had an opportunity to look at that?
I have.
So I look at our staff, and I don't see that conglomerate of staff. I see Jim Kavanaugh, Jaime Miguel. I see Sylvia Umamen. Pardon me if I mispronounce that. Samantha Young and Fiona Rodriguez as the administrative assistant.
Right.
Now, interestingly enough, there's a FOIA request on here.
Okay.
Okay. And I really think we give them the opportunity to answer our FOIA request, because there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of just too many things going on. I think there's a lot of questions unanswered.
Right. Oh, you can FOIA that, and if you find anything there, I definitely would love to see what you got there. But you can definitely go onto the YIDA page, and you can see, it shows an organizational the structure there, with the mayor and the board, and then the staff. It also lists their names there, as in their titles,
right, in their capacity.
If you're interested in doing that, you can most certainly do that there, and I recommend that people do that. You can also find out information on the projects that the YIDA has funded, along with some more information, some of their financials. Again, they're not all complete, but if there is some information there if you are interested. So, and I will kind of share that with you here, just so people can get an idea of what that looks like.
I think the more people that go after this start learning and understanding what's happening in the city, the better direction everybody's going to start going in.
Well, again, Basement Politics, what we do is we present information. We want to bring transparency, and just put the information there, have people educate themselves on what is going on, how things operate here in the city, so they can have be better informed, make better informed decisions, and hopefully create the change that so many say they want, and so many have been fighting for such a long time. So if you're looking at the screen there, you can see this is the page of the YIDA, and it says our staff there. You see that? I'll make it bigger there.
Top, Freddy, just to the top of that, to the top right.
Where it says what?
Say contact us. Right. And if you go, it'll say information request, and then below that is a FOIA request. Now, for those of you who don't know, I mean, a lot of people are smart, but it's a Freedom of Information law, and it requires them to share public knowledge, anything that's going in, anything that has associated with tax dollars and municipal money.
Right,
put your FOIA request in, and I know I'm going to now.
And according to the IDA Act of 1969 and the General Municipality Law, IDAs are required to share information and be very transparent. So again, what you're looking at here is the YIDA page. Again, it shows the staff, President CEO Jim Kavanaugh, Jamie McGill, doesn't say Spano here, but she is Spano Executive Director. Sibi S. Omerman, if you could say that, please help me out. Chief
Right.
Fiscal Officer. Samantha Young's the bookkeeper, and Fiona Rodriguez is the administrative assistant there. And then I'll show you the the organizational chart there, so you can see what that looks like. But I'll also show you the members here, and you see the pictures here. The mayor there is the chairman. Peter Kashak, I think is how you pronounce it, vice chairman. Marilyn Anderson, the secretary. Melissa Nasarino is the treasurer. Honorable Cecile Singer, member. And Henry John Balaj, who is a well-known realtor here in the city. He's involved in a lot of big transactions. I'm sorry. Did I forget Robert Espiritu? You don't have a picture, Robert or Roberto. Why not? But he's also a member there as well. But yes, going back to Henry John Balaj, if I'm saying it correctly, he is a huge realtor here in the city, and he's involved in a lot of transactions, big transactions here. Being a member of the YIDA, does that present
Well,
conflict of
that's
interest?
the board of directors, right? And then you have this YIDA website, and then you have these other organizations that play into this. And the question is how does this tangled web weave into itself?
Well, I'll let the
They
folks
have to,
decide.
Carolyn. Let me answer that, Carolyn. If a FOIL doesn't get answered, then we file suit in the Supreme Court. It'll get answered.
Yeah. Well, that's again, basement politics. We present the information. The folks out there, it's up to you. It's up to you. We don't direct you. We don't guide you. I don't tell you how to vote. I don't tell you what to do. I present the information. I want to bring transparency. At the end of the day, the people decide what they want to do. I just want to kind of show before, because we're going to end this soon here, Robbie. I just want to give the folks watching an idea of what it's like, when someone, a developer comes in who wants to, get some help from the YIDA. What do they do? The meeting, what does it look like? So I have a video here of a meeting, and this is in regards to Grayston Foundation. They're looking to expand. Apparently, they did very well over the pandemic lockdown. They, as many people may know, make baked goods, specifically brownies, but they do a lot of other food products that they sell to companies like Ben and Jerry's, Domino's, Pizza Hut. So one of their things is brownies, which they sell to Ben and Jerry's, and they put in their ice cream. And over the lockdown, people were home and they were eating tons of ice cream, tons of brownies. So they did so well that they're growing and they have to expand. So they want help and want IDA benefits. So what they did was they went up to the board to present their plans and their projects for approval. So I just want to share that really quick so people can get an idea what that looks like, in that process. Let me see. I can share here. Share my screen.
Well, I'm anxious. How did they make out?
We'll see. Well, I won't play the entire thing, but I will show you just kind of that, bit of that, just to kind of see the process. Can you see that there?
Morning.
I do.
It's Jamie. Is everyone here?
We are. We do have everyone here, so we can start a roll call.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, good morning. Mayor Mike Spano,
Here.
P. Kishak,
Here.
Marlon Anderson,
Here.
Melissa Nasarino,
Here.
Cecile Singer,
Here.
Henry Jumblai.
Here.
And
Jumblai.
Roberto Espiritu,
Jumblai,
I believe is running late. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to some of our friends who are on the call with us. Let's start with the minutes. I think everyone has the previous minutes available to them. If there are no questions, please ask someone make a motion.
I make a motion, Mayor.
Well, Pete's made a motion, seconded by Cecile. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Any negatives? Hearing no negatives, the minutes from the previous meeting have been accepted. Sibi.
Mayor, we have no financials for this meeting,
Okay.
so we can jump right into the resolutions.
Okay, excellent. Go ahead, Jamie.
So our first item is an inducement resolution for Grayston Bakery, 104 Ashburton Avenue. We have Sean Griffin here of Harris Beach, who is representing the transaction. We have Jim Benarusso, who is counsel for the.
again, I just want to point out, there goes Harris Beach again. So Harris Beach is representing the Greystone Foundation in this YIDA or this project that they're attempting the YIDA to fund in some way or to receive benefits from them. Harris Beach, again, in the middle of it.
The project, and Julie Tedford from Greyston to present the project.
Great. Let's go, guys. Who goes first?
Good morning, Mayor. It's Jim Veneruso. I want to say hello to everyone.
Morning,
Good to
Jim.
see everybody, even virtually. With me on the call is Joseph Kenner. Joseph is the president and CEO of Greyston. Also, Julie Tedford. Julie is the vice president of finance and of operations. I've got to tell you, this is a joy for me to present. I remember back in the early 80s when Greyston first came to Yonkers, and came in the form of Bernie Glassman, a Buddhist monk. He was welcomed by then Mayor Martinelli, and it's a great success story. It's a great story for Yonkers. They created a bakery, but as they will tell you, and I will ask Joe Kenner to if I may make a few remarks after my presentation. They don't just make brownies to make brownies. They make brownies to create jobs.
They create brownies to make jobs. Yes. From my research into the Greystone Foundation, they're actually just not located in Yonkers. I thought that was just specifically an organization foundation located here in Yonkers, but they're actually located in other states. Minnesota is one of them, and they do a lot more than bake brownies. They make a lot of different products that they sell to big companies. They make a lot of money. They've made a lot of money during the pandemic. They've provided, according to someone in that from the Greystone Foundation there who was speaking, I don't want to play the whole video, 70 jobs to people who otherwise may not get a job because they, for some other reason or another, maybe not qualified, whether they might have went to jail, they don't have the credential, they don't have past experience. So that's what the premise of the foundation is that we give jobs to people who otherwise may not get a job. I do the same thing. I have a second chance program is what I called it. And I give guys jobs who have felonies. They may not get jobs from, anywhere else. People, I've had a couple guys that just this week, a guy was telling me who I brought in to do some work on one of my job sites. And he told me that I felt bad because he posted on Facebook. He was so excited about this opportunity. He said it went well, the interview, the phone call, the guy was even saying, "You're my guy, you're the one." And then it came to the part of the history, the arrest history. And he said, it's over. And everything went so well. He was so excited, posted on Facebook. He was looking forward to it. And then boom. So yes, I hear that. It just happened again this week, that story. And I do the same thing. But again, how many jobs versus the benefits that they're going to receive, the amount of Yonkers land that they're going to use up, and to really just run their operation, which is a food producing operation business, so they can distribute different products to the big companies. They're like a wholesaler, right? They make these brownies for Ben and Jerry, I think the sauce for Domino's and stuff, the pizza. So we have to look into that. How much are they paying these guys? Because they say they pay them a living wage. Well, most companies nowadays are not paying a living wage, let alone a foundation. So we have to really look into what's going on here. This is why I'm doing the show. This is why I'm starting to get more detailed, more specific. Little by little, I'm getting in deeper and deeper into the rabbit's hole. Right? I've been warned once again by you, Robbie. Hopefully that nothing happens. Hopefully I'll be alive by the end of the week. But I'm not concerned. I think that I'm not doing anything wrong here. I'm simply bringing information to the people of Yonkers. I'm looking to create transparency, right? We fought hard. People fought hard for the increase in the AHO. And what it appeared to have happened was that the people were played. While the developers continued to get the sweet deals, the people of Yonkers continued to get sweet nothings. And they did not even see a % increase, right? And then everyone shut down to Puerto Rico after the elections while the city residents were left in the cold. Here, with nothing, again, still, the housing stock needs to increase. Still, the ordinance has not increased. Still, there isn't any plans, talks, or any programs, resources for the people of Yonkers, those that are in need. The homelessness situation is only getting worse in the city, in the downtown area in Yonkers, where I go and I actually feed homeless through a program I call Feed the Need. Who is addressing that? What is being done to address that? So we see a lot of these developers like Lionsgate, for example, which I mentioned because recently that was brought up in the resignation of Vincent Pesce, the former building commissioner who resigned, according to some, under pressure because he did not get the Lionsgate permits approved fast enough. Lionsgate is another YIDA project. It's $100 million project, Lionsgate, and it will be creating an estimated 420 permanent jobs and an estimated 400 temporary construction jobs, and is estimated to generate 65 million in annual revenue. This is estimated. We don't know. And like you said, where do we see these numbers? And if anyone is familiar with Yonkers politics and what's happened for decades now, they know that projects have gone up. They've estimated that they were going to generate all this money, and they've gone under. They didn't even last 5 years, 10 years. You look along Nepperham, buildings that were put up, they were supposed to be these offices. There was this whole economic business development zones that were being created where the federal government was handing down all this money, and they started to improve or build some buildings on Nepperham or rehab or refab the carpet mills there. For what? Ended up being empty for years before the fire department went in there, and now they use it for their facilities, the Yonkers Fire. So the Yonkers Fire Department got a building with YIDA benefits and all that stuff, right? So we have to understand this. We have to fully know what's going on. We have to know, are these benefits being given, or what's being done by elected officials are in the best interest of the people of the city of Yonkers. And that's all that I'm here to do. I'm here to bring transparency, to bring awareness, to educate those, and hopefully build unity among people and create some change.
I think you got some excellent questions, and I think you got everybody's mind working. And I think it's the responsibility of everybody to start asking these questions. Even if you comment in the links, let us know what you want to know.
Absolutely.
Let us know what you want in that FOIA request. Let us know what is going to help you to understand how this whole thing operates and how it affects people of Yonkers, how it affects the low to moderate income areas, especially.
Absolutely. We've been impacted. Right. And I say we because I'm from the area. I consider myself still from there. Right. And many of the residents there are not just moving out of the neighborhood and not just moving out of Yonkers. They're moving out of the state. They're going to places like Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida, because of the cheaper cost of living. People don't understand. I think a lot of times is that the developers are bringing in these market rate buildings, developments where people with higher incomes are coming in. Higher income means more disposable income among the group of individuals, and they spend more, prices go up, right? That's just what it is. So they're bringing in these developments, and they're bringing in of higher cost of living for everybody. Rents are going up in the apartments around the developments. So it's not just the new developments going up.
And the real estate is perfect. It's 10, 15 minutes on a train to New York City.
Absolutely.
People can commute, and they pay a fraction of what you would pay
Absolutely.
on Houston Street, on the West End Avenue. You come to Yonkers, you pay a few $1,000s, and that's cheap for them.
Yeah.
But it's not for your everyday resident in Yonkers.
Yeah. Well, they were paying.
That's where it has to turn around, Freddie.
Yeah, people in Manhattan were paying $3,000 and $4,000 10 years ago. So
Right.
Again, for them to get out of a heavily densely populated area like Manhattan or Brooklyn after a pandemic and move up to Yonkers, where it's not far, it's right there by the train. It's a perfect deal for those coming from the city. It's a raw deal for those who live here in the city.
And have dedicated their lives and raised their families in the
Absolutely.
city.
Absolutely.
It's a sin.
Absolutely. So what this comes down to is transparency, and assuring that any conflicts of interest are made public. And if necessary, elected officials, members or employees of the city should step down if a conflict of interest arises. One such conflict is the deal Councilman John Rubel, who John Rubel, who is being groomed for mayor, facilitated between the city of Yonkers and AMS, his landlord at the Yonkers Brewing Company. AMS purchased Chicken Island You know, Chicken Island, that little small parking lot where sometimes a fair comes and we all go. Well, some of us who are brave enough anyway. AMS Person Chicken Island, a piece of land in the middle of Getty Square that once had chickens on it, actually. The property was purchased using tax subsidies, which Councilman Rubo helped secure as the chair of the real estate committee. AMS owns the building that his business is located in, as well as 86 Main Street, right there across where the Citibank is located in. Is there a conflict of interest there? Was there any, benefits given to Councilman Rubo in order for him to facilitate that transaction? I'm not making accusations. I'm just questioning because, it could very well get a little sticky there. And we don't want to have any stickiness, right? So maybe if there are conflicts of interest that present themselves, people should recuse themselves from these deals, right? Just so that way there aren't any questions, right?
I'd also say to you this. I remember when Chicken Island was a big thing, and I thought they were going to put up a stadium, the Yonkers Ducks, or, and I'm sorry that never happened, because I think that would have been a prime place to see a baseball game. Bring your kids to a baseball game. I don't know. I liked it for what the concept was. I happen to enjoy baseball. I'm a Yankee fan. So.
Well, I used to be a Met fan. I don't watch sports much. I don't watch TV much. But it was the old bait and switch, right? It was a car salesman trick. They presented a nice ballpark, got everybody hyped up about it, but they knew no ballpark was going to go up there. Didn't even make sense. How are you going to put a ballpark there? The parking, the game nights. It would be extremely crowded, dangerous, and the city, those who live around there would hate it. That was never intended to be a stadium. Just the same way that the city jail was never intended to be a art museum, as it was presented when it was sold to the art collectors who were very rich and were just simply looking for a huge safe to keep their art collection. It has been yet to open to the public. They also got it for a deal. So again, it was the old bait and switch. We see it happen every time. We have to be careful. Same with the AHO that they dragged everyone along throughout the summer, saying we're going to give you 20%. People got excited when it was a 5-2 vote in favor of it. And boom, Tasha Diaz, Councilman Tasha Diaz, of all people, did an about face. What was going on there? I don't want to speculate
About Tasha. I've interviewed Tasha in the past. She seems like a very transparent person.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I like Tasha Diaz a lot.
I like Tasha Diaz, and
me too.
I don't want to get into naming specific people, but I'll tell you that is a little alarming.
It was just very confusing for me and a lot of the city residents. But again, was that planned the entire time? Was that just political football, dangling in front of the residents and stringing them along so that way behind the scenes they're pushing these developments through? We can speculate all day, but I prefer to get information, factual information, so I can present. So I want to go to some of the comments before we leave here. When John Rubo's employee took Abdul to court, the lawyer, Harris Beach, yes, as well as the handwriting specialist, admitted that they were paid by John Rubo's campaign. Wow. Where's that document? I would love to see it. Yet it is not on his campaign financials. Quid pro quo. Well, apparently, also we've heard that there was a letter sent to the council, and Liam McLaughlin, and it has not been mentioned, accusing one of the councilmen of quid pro. And it's not Mike Cater. But for some reason, that has not been made public. No one's spoken about it. I don't know. Zahi Jervis is her campaign manager. Hello. Are we speaking to Councilman Tasha Diaz? Well, that's a whole lot there to digest, so I'm going to leave it at that. Robbie, man, thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate you coming on the show. Maybe we'll have you more on the show sometime, from time to time as a special guest, a host. Definitely will love it, but we'll definitely be talking soon. Before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to say to the people before I take you off the screen there?
Yeah, I want to thank you. It's an honor to be on the show. Transparency is huge. I mean, I said it before, you're up, you're coming, you're going places. Carolyn,
thank you. You hear that, folks?
Okay. Thank you for posting on the book tonight. And just so that everybody knows, Yonkers Inspector General, where is he in this? Former council president, very good guy, Liam McLaughlin, Inspector General. It's not like it doesn't exist in the city. So I think we're gonna explore this, and I would challenge you this before we get off the air. We go down there with the camera and see how many people respond to us and tell us, are you a Yonkers resident at this Lions, at this Lions project or not? How many? Are we going to get 7 out of 10 people that are Yonkers residents? Are we going to get 10 out of 10 people that aren't?
No, now that you mention it, they may lie. So we're gonna have to check the license. Give me your
That's
license. Let
exactly
me see.
right. And we're going to have to look at where those license plates are on those trucks, because I've seen it where Boston's come into and bid on jobs in Yonkers, and it's actually won bids.
Yeah.
So I'm
Rochester,
Yeah.
New Jersey, and again, members of local labor unions have also have made the same statements. So, I believe it to be true. It's all about saving a dollar, making a dollar. Well, Robbie, man, thank you for joining me. We're going to continue this conversation. This isn't over yet. We've got many more episodes that we're going to be bringing to you, folks. And Robbie, man, hopefully you'll be joining me on some. You have a wealth of knowledge that I love for you to share on the show and discuss. And I'm sure those in the city would also. You've not a stranger to the city of Yonkers. You've been on shows before, the Yonkers Voice and others as well. So Robbie, man, thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. It's an honor for you to join me on my show. You could be anywhere tonight, but you chose to be here on Basement Politics with Freddy Vazquez. Thank you.
Hey,
have a
thank
great
you.
night.
I'd be nowhere else, Freddie.
I appreciate
Nowhere
it. We'll
else.
definitely be in touch. We'll definitely be
Okay.
talking some more, Robbie. Take care. Have a good night. That was Robbie, man, who joined me as a special host tonight. And, we may be doing that some more. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's got a lot of information. I definitely will want to hear more of what he has to say. He's excited to be doing that. I'm excited to be having him. Again, this is part 3 of the IDA Act of 1969 and the YIDA. General Municipality Law, Article 18, conflicts of interest. Are there conflicts of interest? Some of the information that I presented tonight, does that show or present any conflicts of interest? Does that concern you as a resident of the city of Yonkers? Do you even care? Let me know in the comments. I want to know. And I'm going to dig even deeper. Again, we're going farther into the rabbit's hole. I want you there with me. I need you there with me. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics. Thank you for joining me. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you on Sunday.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddy Vazquez.